I use this term a lot, the spirit of your business. But what does it actually mean? What does it mean to connect to the spirit of your business? What is the spirit of your business actually anyway? And how do you hear from it? How do you build a relationship with it? How do you start to cultivate an open dialogue and communication with the spirit of your business in order to live out and carry out the legacy that you are meant to create and birth on earth in this time through your magic and you being a vessel that your business has chosen to share this medicine with the world. Can't wait for you to dive in and listen to today's episode. It is such a good one. Let's dive right in. I'm your host, Tiffany Chung, your go-to for all things marketing, mindset, and manifestation. I grew my online business from 0 to beyond 6 figures in 8 months. My purpose is to empower women to step into the highest, most aligned versions of themselves. If you are ready to take charge of your life, learn how to design a wildly successful business, and leave limiting beliefs behind, you've come to the right place. You will learn the actionable tips and step-by-step strategies on money, manifestation, and social media. It's time to step into your role as boss, to raise your vibration, and tap into your unlimited potential today. Welcome to the Social Reset Podcast. Hey everyone, welcome back to the podcast. I'm so excited to have you here. Today we're going to be talking all about connecting to the spirit of your business and to the spirit of your offer. I love this concept as someone that is very highly spiritual and someone who loves to connect to entities bigger than myself, as well as really identifying that the things around us have spirits as well. My daughter always laughs at me when I say this. I guess in her mind, it's just like so laughable. But I think there's a part of her that absorbs it as well, is like when she, does something or say something to either an object or to our home or the car, I stop and say, hey, the house can feel that, the house can hear that, the house knows that, right? Or the car feels that, the car is taking that in, and she'll just be like, bah, and cackle at me. But that's truly how I feel. I feel like within everything around us, there are either spirits or there is some type of living entity. And even within things that are just so, they're clearly objects, they're not moving, they're not speaking to us, but if you think about it like a house, right? If you're consistently caring for a home, you're consistently managing it and taking care of it, it's going to shine different and feel different than a house that's been left out in the middle of nowhere for centuries. There's going to be, yuck and mold, and the walls are going to start deteriorating. Things are going to happen to the landscape and the interior when someone is not caring for it and loving it. There was even an experiment done. I wish I knew the name. Maybe just Google rice or rice affirmation experiment. But there was a bag of rice. People have also done this with plants, but there was a bag of rice that was the good rice. And then there was the rice that was the bad rice. Exact same rice, nothing different with the rice themselves or itself. But every single day, the rice that was in the dark, they would be the people running the experiment would say terrible things at it and just hurl insults and criticism. And then the good rice was sitting in the sunlight. They would say beautiful things, affirming things. Same thing with the plants, right? One of the plants would be in the shadows, and then the other plant was in the sunlight. And I think one of the experiments, they were in the exact same places, but it was just the words that were being shouted at one or the other were very, either uplifting or very critical. And then after about a month or several weeks, there was a significant change. There was a significant difference between the rice that had received the compliments and the kind words versus the rice that was receiving the criticism and the unkind negative narratives. And I mean, experiments like this have been done time and time again. There's even an experiment done with water where water, when spoken to, it shows up a certain way. And there is a certain, if you like really study in with a lab certified, microscope and look at the beads of water, water is shaped a different way based on that energy, based on that emotion. And so science aside, there's clearly so much evidence that our words mean something to the things around us. And so the concept of your business having a spirit, to me, is not that far-fetched. I'm sure to some people that maybe aren't as, head in the clouds and airy-fairy as I very much am, and this resonates so well with me, might take a little bit longer to wrap their heads around this idea. And by the way, I'm not saying that you have to see it this way or that this is the only way your business will be successful. I'm not saying that at all. You decide and you find what works best for you in your business and in your life. This is just what works so well for me. And I was first introduced to this concept by my business coach. Her name is Simone Seol, Seol, and she's just incredible. I not only really look up to her, I also feel like our brains are very similar. Her brain works very, very much like mine. She's very flowy. She doesn't plan out all of her quarters or all of her launches. She writes emails on a whim. She naps a lot. She's very much like me. She also has a prone to depression and ADHD brain. And she operates her business, which is a multi-million-dollar business. I believe that she ended the year 2021 at like 3-point-something million, which is incredible. And so she thinks very, very similar to me. And so the thing that I've kind of, branched off of from this idea of our businesses having spirits is now I really look at like your secret sauce having a spirit, your individual offer having a spirit. So sometimes when I am prepping for either a launch or a fun workshop or something different that I'm doing, or if I just want to have a conversation, I am calling on the spirit of Business Activation Academy. I believe that my business has a spirit, and I believe that Business Activation Academy has a spirit. And if I were to have, I plan to have a mastermind that I host and accept coaches into in some time in the near future. And whatever I decide to call that mastermind, I would know that mastermind has a spirit of itself as well, and that it has a certain intention and goal and values that it wants to co-create with me under this umbrella of my business, my business's spirit. So the way that I connect to the spirit of my business, the way that I relate to it, and the way that I hear from it is really simple. I just ask it questions out loud or on paper, and I just sit in silence and I see what it wants to share with me. And I think that might sound a little bit absurd if you've never done something like this, or you're just not used to it, or you're really unsure about this kind of understanding of energetics because maybe you're not really a spiritual person. It's not really something that you are used to or you've been around at all, right? So I would say just play around with the concept. What helped me in the beginning was connecting to my higher self. And so I believe that I have a higher self that is different from my human self that has an ego and can sometimes be very ego driven or emotionally driven, and really based on what I want in the moment or what I feel like is best for me, right? But my highest self, my higher self, is someone that essentially sees things in a different light and sees what is best for me in the long run, what is most self-serving to me, what is the decision that is going to benefit me in the long run, a year from now, 5 years from now. And I listen and I channel from my highest self when I am making difficult decisions or, making a change in my life or whatever it may be. So that helped me bridge into talking to the spirit of my business. So something that I'll do is when I'm alone, I will just ask it questions out loud and just say, okay, spirit of my business, this is what I'm planning to do, and just kind of outline, what my plan is or what my thoughts are, or if I'm like stuck in the middle of making a big decision or I'm feeling anxious about something, I will just kind of brain dump it out and speak audibly out loud alone, and then wait for a couple moments and just see what the spirit of my business has to say. I listen. I try to really be in a state of receiving so that I'm not, I'm not looking for what I want to hear. I'm truly just listening to whatever comes to me. Sometimes that is what I want to hear. Sometimes it shocks me, right? And sometimes it's not what I want to hear, but it's the thing that I know I needed to do all along. And the important thing to realize about the spirit of your business is that it's always in co-creation with you. It is always going to be on your side, on your team, and rooting for you, rooting for what you can create and why you've been chosen to birth this creation and this business in the first place. It is never going to speak to you with criticism or judgment. It's not going to be rooted in fear or lack or scarcity. It might even tell you something crazy and wacky, like, a few days before a launch, telling you to burn it all down and build something completely different, which is actually what my business coach did. She was going to do a complete second round that we'd all been waiting for and looking forward to of the mastermind, which the first round was brought in over $1 million of revenue in her business. And 4 days before the launch of that renewal, where people would be able to send in their applications, the spirit of her business told her to burn it all down and to birth a new creation. And she didn't even know all of the details of it. She just put out an application and literally called it the mystery room. And she accepted people in. People paid, including me, $20,000 to be a part of that room that I had no idea what was going to happen. She said explicitly that it wasn't going to be a mastermind, that it was going to be something completely different. And I had no idea what to expect. I just consulted with the spirit of my business, and I just trusted that that was the room where I was meant to be in. And that, of course, I did trust her as well. But more importantly, I trust myself. I trust that wherever I am being led to go by the spirit of my business, by the universe, that I am going to make the most of it. Not the coach, not the people, not how many people, not, of course, there are certain things that you look for in a container, which I'm not saying completely disregard that, but also for me, it was just a leap of faith, and knowing that I would be able to make the most of it, and I'm responsible for my transformation and my success at the end of the day, not my coach or anybody else, or the factors being perfect, like it being an intimate container or it being X amount of months, or, certain goals and transformations all laid out. Like there wasn't even really a sales page for it, right? And I think it went to show that there are just so many ways that you can bring in your people. And when you trust your magic, when you trust your secret sauce, when you listen to the spirit of your business, the people that you're meant to serve are always going to find you. And it might not be in the most logical way that you expect. And it's also not even something that you can always plan out either, right? Like I'm sure that that's something that would have gone against what my coach would have quote unquote planned for 2022. But yet when you trust the spirit of your business, when you trust yourself and you are able to birth that, it becomes so much more powerful, and you get to be so much more powerful because of it. So that's one of the ways that I like connecting to my spirit of my business is through speaking aloud, maybe being in a quiet space, walking around the house, pacing, grounding outside on the soil, on the earth, the dirt, feeling that beneath me. The main way that I do it though is through journaling. So I will write out, me, and then I will write out whatever I want to say or my question or what I'm feeling or what I'm thinking. And then I will sit and I will listen. And then based on what the spirit of my business wants to share with me, I receive and I listen and I'm open to whatever it has to share, even if it's something shocking, even if it's something that I don't really want to listen to. I'm open to whatever it is that I need to know in that moment. And I allow to just take that in and maybe ask follow-up questions like, okay, you said this, why? Where does this come from? And sometimes there's only so much that the spirit of your business wants to share, just like there's only so much the universe wants you to know about your life, right? Imagine if you knew every single thing that was going to happen, all of the things you were going to achieve, the dream partner that you want to spend the rest of your life with, the house, at what age, all these things. If they were all mapped out for you and you knew every single thing, how boring would that be? There would be no surprises. You would know that your partner would get down on a knee and propose to you on that date, on that day, that evening, and you would just be like, yeah, I knew it. Okay, that was going to happen. Okay, I'm going to hit 6 figures today. I knew it, saw it coming. Okay, cool. Right? Like it would be so boring and we would be so tired of it. There has to be some anxiety in life. There's got to be some surprise. And so don't be afraid if the spirit of your business is kind of keeping its mouths keeping its lips shut because it wants you to be surprised. It wants you to fill in the blanks. It doesn't want to tell you everything, right? So the spirit of your business might have a certain energy to it. It might speak in a certain way. It might look a certain way. You might think of colors that you would associate with the spirit of your business. This is different for everybody, right? And there's no right or wrong answer. And I would honestly say if you're like, okay, Tiffany, I try to speak to the spirit of my business, but I felt like it was just me. How can I differentiate between me and like my imagination versus the real spirit of my business? And what I would say is, where does your imagination come from? Where do you think that comes from? That is the spirit of your business. The spirit of your business is going to speak to you in a way that you might not expect, and just be there to receive it. Even if you feel like you're making it up, where does that come from? Why would you think about, okay, I want to launch in July, right? Or I want to start taking beta clients in 2 weeks. Where does that come from? That comes from somewhere, right? Even if it feels like you are quote unquote making it up, it is coming from somewhere that was planted in your head for a reason. It was planted in your head instead of 6 months from now or a year from now or doing something completely different, right? Maybe it's the simplest answer, and typically it is. It's the simplest thing on the table. We're the ones that make it complicated because of our emotions and us having human brains and all of these things that just make it more complicated than it needs to be. And it doesn't have to be. It truly doesn't have to be. So I would encourage you to sit down with the spirit of your business after this episode. Maybe you're driving, maybe you're at work, maybe you're doing something where you're not able to have the alone time that you would like to. But I would encourage you the next moment that you can to sit down with the spirit of your business and see what it has to say to you. See if there's some insight for the rest of this year that you want to receive from it, and trust whatever comes through. Trust that you are the channel, that you are the vessel that is able to connect to your spirit, your business on a spiritual level with this entity that has your back, that chose you for a reason. Not in spite of all of the things that you feel like don't make you a quote unquote good business owner or good entrepreneur, but because of them, right? I used to shy away because I used to think all the things that I was taught to feel shame around would make me a terrible business owner. But it was actually those things that drew in the most incredible, most aligned clients and community like you. All right, so that's what I want to leave you with today. If you like this episode, please share it on your story and tag me. If you do have a conversation with the spirit of your business or a spirit of one of your offers, please message me. I'd love to hear about it. I love hearing about this from my students, and I would love to welcome you into Business Activation Academy, where we take this work even deeper, even further, so that you're not just listening to what the spirit of your business has to say, but you're taking action on it as well. You are truly showing up as that undeniable, powerful high priestess of your business, being that vessel to channel your magic through, sharing it with your most aligned clients, and creating the financial abundance that goes through the roof that your paycheck from your day job could never. All right. I hope to see you inside Business Activation Academy. Link is in the show notes to join. It's also always in the link in my bio at tiffanychong.co. And I will catch you in the next episode. Thank you so much for tuning in, and don't forget to subscribe. If this episode resonated with you, please take a screenshot, share it on your Instagram stories, and tag me at tiffanychong.co. I truly appreciate interacting with every one of you. Catch you all on the next one.